Hi, and welcome to season 3 of Not Your Average Nutritionist YouTube channel. I'm registered dietitian Libby Parker, and here's what you can expect in the upcoming season. Hey everyone, thanks so much for coming back for season 3. I can't believe how many videos I've already done, even though these are fairly short seasons. They are jam-packed with content. So if you haven't watched seasons 1 and 2, please go back and watch some of those videos. If you're interested in eating disorder recovery, debunking fad diets with science, all that kind of stuff, I've got you covered. So go check for any topics that are relevant for you, and we've got more coming at you. So I wanted to use this introduction for a couple things. One, to let you know kind of what's coming in season 3, and to take a moment and really talk about what's happening in this time of the COVID-19 pandemic. So most of the videos that you're going to be seeing in this upcoming season were filmed during the pandemic, and oftentimes they were referencing it, especially in some of the interviews. So definitely take that into consideration depending on where we're at in history when you're finally watching these videos. Know that that's what was going on during this. But I wanted to first talk about what's been happening, um, what I've been seeing as an eating disorder practitioner during this global pandemic. It has been a really interesting time for the business and for what I've been seeing from people who are struggling with eating disorders. So I just want to give you my insights. I didn't do any big research on this, so I don't have statistics, but I just want to give you a little bit of a viewpoint of what I've been seeing from both my own clients and people that I talk to on the internet, whether or not they have a diagnosed eating disorder. Just kind of general trends that I've noticed through this. So number one, I would say the biggest thing is, for the grand scheme of people who have struggled with an eating disorder in the past or were currently in one, being in this pandemic, being in the shelter in place at home or isolation, particularly if they were not in a good living situation, whether they were alone all the time, that was hard for them, or they were in maybe not necessarily abusive relationships, but with living with people that didn't make it easier for them, we saw eating disorders ramp up supercharged. Like, people who have been doing fairly well in their recovery, all of a sudden, huge backslide. And I think a lot of that had to do with several factors. So number one, I think everyone has just been more anxious and depressed, and general mood, mental health has gone down across the board for people in this pandemic. I don't think there's anyone who's been like, yay, pandemic. Whether or not you've dealt with an eating disorder, I'm sure that on some level you felt some unease or anxiety or something. So that's already ramping up. And then we've got, the comorbidities of the eating disorder on top of it. So we're seeing this increase in anxiety, depression, eating disorder, and then people are alone, not going to work, not going to school, not having social things and stuff on their calendars. For most people with eating disorders or other mental health issues, staying busy is a way of coping and not needing to use the disordered eating behaviors. So the fact that they can't stay busy, they don't have places to be, they don't have, all of a sudden, there's no schedule, there's no structure, has been a really big trigger, because all of a sudden you're just stuck home alone with your thoughts all day without a lot of purpose. And a lot of people, again, I'm saying a lot of people again and again, because I don't want to generalize. I don't want to say that everyone feels this way, because it's definitely not true. But the great majority, with all of these things I'm saying, spending time alone in your own head can be dangerous or just depressing, or really push the disordered behaviors up to the surface again, because that eating disorder voice and the healthy self are battling each other every day. And when we're in this quiet and we're not able to stay busy and knock the eating disorder voice down, it's really ramping up. So we're sitting alone and the eating disorder is just talking all day long. So that gets really difficult and makes people more likely to engage in their disordered behaviors around food and exercise and everything in that scheme. Or, negative self-image, bad body image, all of that stuff is really coming up. We see this also fueled by the fact that people are home with their food all day. They can't, oh, I'm at the office, I don't get to eat, or I'm in a class where the teacher doesn't allow me to eat, and like able to avoid it. So they're sitting with it. And that either makes them obsess about it and not eat, not grocery shop, whatever, or they're finding themselves going to the refrigerator much more frequently because it's right there. So we're seeing that dichotomy as well. Then people are afraid to go grocery shopping, and not just because there is a virus out there that we need to be avoiding, which particularly if OCD is also in play with the disorder, makes it really hard to want to go out and go shopping. But we're seeing food scarcity on the shelves. Certain brands are no longer available or are getting bought up, so people's safe foods are not available anymore. Um, or it's just super overwhelming to go grocery shopping when you have to like gear up to go in and wait in line, and it's already an anxiety provoking process just to go into the grocery store, but now you have to wait in line for 45 minutes to even go inside, and that can be a whole thing, especially for people who generally were not cooking for themselves. So this can be a whole new thing of learning to eat at home if you were someone who ate all their meals out or ate very specific foods that are no longer available. These can be huge triggers as well. Um, Additionally, for a lot of people, exercise was a big issue. And again, we're seeing really kind of the polar ends of the spectrum. Either people over exercising because they have a ton of time on their hands, and that's what they do to deal with their anxiety, or people hardly exercising at all, or fearing what social media has coined the quarantine 15, which we really, people stop talking about weight loss. Oh my gosh, there's better things to do with your time. Um, I haven't seen anyone struggle with the quarantine 15, if that's what you want to call it, myself. Are people feeling less in shape and maybe putting on a couple pounds? Maybe, but I think we all need to give ourselves some grace with that. That we're in a global pandemic. This is not a time that we need to be worrying about a beach body. Not that we ever need to worry about it, but especially now. Like, give yourself some time off. It's okay to just sit and survive the day. Honestly, like, we've never known how to do this before. None of us have lived through a global pandemic. We don't know how to do it right. And it's okay to keep fueling yourself, to keep eating, to eat things that you enjoy. And it's okay if you don't exercise all the time or every day or at all right now. It's okay to give yourself some grace with this. I don't want you going to extremes. I feel like there's so much more that we could talk about with what people have been experiencing with COVID, and I do go into more depth on that on a previous video. So I did put out a video about eating disorders and COVID-19 throughout this last spring. So definitely go find that one. I will try to link it below. Um, but know that you're not alone if you're struggling with an eating disorder right now, or you were particularly having struggles during the pandemic. We've noticed a lot of self-harm behaviors, including suicidal ideation going up. So please take care of yourself. Please, please, please. Okay, so I'm going to move on from that topic. But before I go into what else to be expecting in season 3, I want to tell you about some shifts in the business as well. So, due to the fact that even though dietitians are essential workers, and I could have been seeing clients face to face, I just didn't feel like taking that risk. As someone who has already done telehealth leading up to this wasn't new. I just decided to move everything online. So I've been seeing all of my clients virtually through a HIPAA compliant telehealth system, which Was an adjustment for some of them, but honestly, it's the same service you're getting in person. So it worked out very well for us. That being said, at the beginning, I think everyone was thinking that the quarantine shelter at home was not going to last very long. And with people getting laid off or having reductions in pay, or I don't know what all the details were, we just weren't seeing as many clients, which has now picked back up to normal. But that caused me to really start thinking about shifting the business. So, long story short, I actually started a new service in the business. I had a lot of people who had been reaching out that were really loving my book, Permission to Eat, and wanted to work with me, but weren't in states that I legally could work with people one on one. So I opened up a group membership. So in this membership, it is primarily support groups live for eating disorders. And you can be anywhere in the world as long as you speak and understand English. You can come join this group. So it's a monthly membership. We have several weekly live support groups. We have a private Facebook group. I'm doing Q&As in there. We have a lot of accountability. It's just been a really great experience. So that's been running for about a month at the time of filming this right now. And our members are engaged, and it's been really great. We've been seeing some excellent wins so far. So definitely, if this is something you're interested in, you want that addition of a support group, something that's cheaper than working with me one-on-one, and you can work with me anywhere in the world, definitely check that out. I'll have more information linked below this video. I think it's something that's really, really going to grow over time. So I would love for you to be a part of it. Okay, so now on to what is coming in season 3. It's going to be a really fun season. I've had some interviews with people that are going to be on here that I think are going to be, I want to say blow your mind. I don't know if it's quite that extreme, but are definitely fun and different and still very relevant to my topic of eating disorder recovery. So I'm really excited that I finally got to get some of my theater and Broadway people and influence into the YouTube channel this year, this season. So back in January, prior to everything closing down, thank God, I got to go to Broadway Con, which is a huge conference. It's 3 days long. Thousands of people across the Broadway and theater community come together, and there is panels and shows and a vendor fair, which I got to be a part of, along with the Broadway Body Positivity Project, which also check it out. It's so cool. We are working on making change about diversity in casting, and that anybody can be a Broadway body. So definitely check that out. The founder is Stephanie Lexis. She's amazing. But because of this experience of going to Broadway Con, and they were having really great panels about mental health in the theater and things like that, I got to meet a couple of really phenomenal people that I got to interview for the upcoming season. I'm not going to give away names just yet, but I will say one of them is a well-known Broadway actress, and she comes in to an interview with me here, and for the first time on video, publicly shares her eating disorder story. And now she has been past that for, I believe she says 10 years. And so she talks about kind of her journey to recovery, why it's important, how much happier she is now, and what it's like to be dealing with an eating disorder in the theater community, which I found really fascinating since those are two groups of people that I work with a lot. The other Broadway interview that I have currently recorded is with a psychologist who works with Broadway performers, and she gives her take on mental health in the theater. And we talk a little bit about eating disorders as well, so you're not going to want to miss that. That was a fun interview. We end up talking a lot about COVID because it was very new at the time of that recording. And then for the rest of the season, of course, we're going to talk a lot about eating disorders, as you expect on this channel. So we are going to be talking about a whole bunch of different topics, starting off with what to expect when you go to an appointment with a registered dietitian. I talk about what initial and follow-up appointments are like, particularly for seeing someone for an eating disorder, but a lot of it will apply across the board to dietitians in a variety of outpatient settings. So it can give you an idea of what to expect so you're not nervous going in. We're going to have videos about how to talk to a friend who you think is struggling and so much more. So please, if you haven't already, click the subscribe button below this video, hit that little bell icon so you're notified when these videos are coming out, which will be every Wednesday for a little while here. And I'm so thankful you're here. If you ever want to find out more about me or contact me, definitely check out the links in the About section. I am here for you, I support you, and I would love to get to know you. So also, if you have other topic ideas you would like me to cover, let me know. Let's make this the best season yet. You can buy Permission to Eat on Amazon.com and anywhere else that you like to buy books online. I hope that you'll join me, and I know that you've got this.